For 2021, Lexus introduced the convertible version to their very attractive LC platform. This adds more than $8,000 to the total bill, pushing it to a $101,000 starting price. With the packages included in this specific example that I'm testing, the sticker price is over $110,000. And in this video, I want to share with you my likes and dislikes about this car so that you have a better idea before you decide to go out and buy one, and to see whether this is worth that sticker price. This will be the fourth LC500 that we've reviewed on this channel. We've driven two V8 versions and one that's a hybrid. So you may find me saying the same exact things in this video because the interior and exterior, aside from the top, hasn't really changed. And my opinions overall are pretty much the same. And there are two things. The first one is that this is the most beautiful Lexus. And arguably, this is one of the most beautiful cars you can buy today that won't cost you a price of a small single-family home. And the second one is the power is generous coming out of that 5-liter V8. And the sound is incredible. With the new convertible design, it adds so much more to both of those things. From an exterior design perspective, convertibles tend to ruin the profile of a car, and to an extent it does slightly here as well. Compared to the coupe, the convertible's design with the top up just doesn't have the same presence and aggressive look. But with the top down, the LC convertible looks so much more fun, and the lux factor has gone up by about 300%. If the coupe looks like an aggressive sports car, the convertible makes it look like a very expensive and very fun sports car. This one still has those same exterior elements as the coupe that gives off that premium look and feel. Starting at the front, this has the same teardrop blinkers. It has a very large but very tasteful hourglass grille, showing that you can do big grills without it looking awkward. This also has incredible looking daytime running lights and headlight cluster. And at the rear, you can find the same taillights with the infinity mirror effect with matching teardrop shape as the front. The exhaust openings here are still ridiculously large, which I don't particularly mind given that this convertible actually has a pretty mean growl. And if you ask me, that's the real benefit of having a convertible, is so that you could hear all of that noise behind you. Now, I actually took this on a long road trip with my wife. We drove with the top down and with the windows up in this very brisk, cool 50-degree fall weather, and I'll tell you, it was quite comfortable. You know, her long hair wasn't too crazy, and overall we weren't cold. So I think overall the Lexus engineers did a really good job on the aerodynamics of this car, not just with the top up, but also with the top down. Man, that sounds so good. As far as the interior design, this is still the same modern design of the LC500. The instrument cluster is fully digital with a mechanical center dial that moves left and right. It's a really neat party trick, but given that most newer luxury cars have large, fully digital instrument clusters with their own custom animations and large map displays, I'm afraid this might not be as modern looking as the competition. But in my personal opinion, that gauge cluster looks so good and it looks very classic. I just hope that the electric motors that drive that center dial left and right never ever fails, because when it breaks, I'm pretty sure that's not a cheap part to replace. Moving to the main display, this screen is just gorgeous. It's integrated with the dash, which gives it a more cohesive and sleek design. It's pretty tragic, however, that you still have to use this touchpad, which is a big chore to use while driving. There's just too many swipes involved, and I hate that the seating temperature controls are embedded in the menus. And for good exercise, let's find out how much time it takes to change the heated seats and the heated steering wheel using this touchpad, because this is the only method of input in here, because this, as you can see, is not a touchscreen. So let's go do this. Let's hit menu, Let's go all the way to the right, hit climate, and then go all the way to the left and hit seat steering. And there you have it. Let's turn on the heated seats and heated steering wheel. And there you go. So as you can see, it takes a while to switch that. It's better if you have physical buttons to change those things, but I understand why Lexus didn't want to go with that, because the interior design look with very few buttons just looks very upscale and modern in here. Fortunately for this car though, it comes with Climate Concierge. It's just like the auto button on your HVAC. What Climate Concierge does is it basically also controls the heated seats, the ventilated seats, and the heated steering wheel, so you never have to play with any of these settings. As for the features on this transmission tunnel, all of this looks very nice. I love the shifter. It is placed perfectly, and the touchpad, despite it being a nightmare to use, still is a very nice button. All of these buttons, all of the knurling on these buttons are very nice. And there's something extra in the convertible here that you won't find in the coupe or the hybrid. Basically, by this palm rest, there's something hidden inside, and it's the controls for the convertible and also the windows. Now, kid you not, I spent 10 minutes in this car trying to find this switch, and I love how it's hidden beneath this palm rest. It's so stealthy in a James Bond kind of way. As for the seating surfaces themselves, it's pretty top notch. This one's equipped with actual leather, and there's plenty of seating adjustments here as expected in a six-figure luxury car. And the LC is just super comfortable to drive in for those long trips. This is a legitimately good grand touring car. But it's a completely different story for the rear passengers. Now in the coupe, there is somewhat reasonable leg room back there, but with all of the extra convertible hardware that you find in this car, the leg room has been chopped by 4.5 inches, which means that only legless passengers need apply. Now this might be a 2+2 configuration, but those rear seats might as well be purely decorative. Thankfully, the trunk space hasn't been fully compromised. It has been reduced down from the 5.4 cubic feet of the coupe down to 3.4 in the convertible. Still usable for grocery getting and your golfing requirements. All right, so how does it drive? Well, this has a 5-liter V8 producing 471 horsepower and 398 pound-feet of torque. In an age of increasingly turbocharged cars, having a naturally aspirated engine like this with big lungs is a relief. It has a classical fast muscle car feel with predictable power delivery. It is so smooth, and the engine and the exhaust sound so sweet, it's like you have your own personal throat singer in the trunk. That engine is also mated to this 10-speed automatic transmission, which shifts very fast. This is a modern transmission that gives you good efficiency and lightning quick shifts. It's not as quick as a dual clutch transmission, but that's okay. That also means that these beautiful magnesium paddle shifters are pretty much useless, because this is going to shift so much better than you ever will. But it's still fun to pull on that left paddle so you could hear that exhaust cry out every once in a while. It just sounds so freaking good. As for the ride, this is a great GT car and perfect for those long trips. It could be a bit comfier if it weren't for the optional 21-inch wheels on this car. They look amazing, but there's very little rubber to help soak up those road imperfections. With that said, this is still a comfortable car to drive in. As for handling, it's not as sharp as the coupe. That one has an available active rear steer, which makes it more maneuverable at all speeds. The coupe also feels more tight as expected because of its fixed roof. Regardless, the convertible still handles quite well. The brakes are also awesome. They're 6-piston calipers up front with floating rotors. They're beefy, and they can stop this 4,500-pound car very well. Now, to answer my original question, is it worth it? And I hate to say it, it depends. $110,000 is a lot of money, but this is also a ton of car. And if you look at the 3-year resale values, the market value on these cars is about $75,000, which is about 3/4 to 80% of the original sticker price. So it's holding its values better than other cars. The amount of equipment you get in here is also impressive. You'll feel like you're sitting in a 6-figure car, and you will feel like $1 million sitting in here, especially with the top down, because you could feel all those eyeballs glued onto this car. Then again, it's not worth it because I think there are better sports cars out there. The one example that comes to mind is the Jaguar F-Type R Convertible. That one has a 575 horsepower V8 supercharged engine, and it's just so much faster than this car. And that car doesn't have a back seat, but let's be honest, you're never gonna use the back seats on this car either. If I had $110,000, which I don't, to spend between those two cars, I'd have a very hard time choosing between the two. The benefit of the Lexus is its unique look. It has concept car looks, and it's a true rarity on the roads. I see more Ferraris and Lamborghinis on the road compared to the LC. This is such a beautiful car to look at, and in the least, this is just beautiful driveway decoration. And with the top down, this is such a beautiful drive. Well, there you have it. That's my review of the 2021 Lexus LC500 Convertible. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you learned something from this video, please consider hitting that like, hitting that subscribe, and hitting that notification bell so that you can be notified anytime we make a new video. Let me wrap it up right there. My name is Hanson. You've been watching Shifting Lanes, and this has been the 2021 Lexus LC500 Convertible, and I'll see you next time.